man. Welcome back. Another fight week for you. How do you feel? How's things been going?
I feel good. Yeah, I've been training hard and staying focused. So excited to be here on this card. So as soon as we got offered it, we jumped all over it. Here to compete and work. So.
It's your second fight for these guys. I mean, does it feel like home yet, or are you still getting used to it?
I like the feel. It's really a little more laid back in the way where I feel it's more about the fight, and that's what the focus is, and just getting out there and more focused on the win, and that's what's most important.
I feel like that was working against you at times over the other organization, that there was too much focus on extracurriculars or
on the entertainment,
and like
yeah, chasing the big knockout. Now we're setting up the big knockout, and knowing that the finish will come. Not a lot of other distractions, but really kind of cut those out, and we're focused.
How has that helped you in preparation for fights and like in the gym and things like that? I'm assuming that being in the UFC or being in Bellator doesn't change really anything in terms of how you prepare in the gym, but does the relaxed mentality go a little bit further in your preparation?
I just could think a little more competitively in there, and this is all on me. So, really, it's just another fight to me. I'm a veteran now. I've had a lot of fights, a lot of big fights. I've bounced back from losses. I've had big wins, and now it's, kind of evened out, and I know where my head needs to be before every fight, and I found a way to get myself there every time, and that starts in practice. I know I've only had, broke that losing streak with that last fight, but I know how to get my head where it needs to be, and now we get to apply it.
How good did that feel, man, to get your hand raised again? Obviously, they didn't give you a slouch in there for your first time out. That's a solid guy. That's a former champ, and
right.
And obviously, you got the job done, and very convincing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm kind of talking about. Usually, if I got taken down, a guy on top, I would, get a little anxious and try to get up or do something stupid. I was other to take my time and know, when I get up, I'm gonna beat this guy across the ring, and just got my head screwed on. I'm excited to compete.
When you come over to a new company like this, obviously that was something you had to do for a long time. Do you think of it as starting from scratch, starting from zero, and they're going to look at you as a guy who is 0-0, or do you feel like they looked at you as a guy who was a veteran and who'd been around the block a few times?
I felt a little more of a clean slate in the way of, I got sent all over the world, to fight, and I kind of got stuck in a role. And, if it's a football team, it's a football team that only had away games. Already I've fought in the States, this fight and my last one. And, I'm not saying that every time or every once in a while I don't like getting sent out, but every single time, they call me and they're like, hey, you have a fight. I'm like, where are we going? To have a couple here, then a couple somewhere else is awesome. I've done the whole thing. I fought the Swede in Sweden, the Japanese guy in Japan, South Korean in South Korea, 2 Brazil trip, and for me it's a breath of fresh air, even though it's not hometown, but staying in the States and to me is kind of breaking that role.
You're not fighting a Milwaukee guy, you are fighting a Milwaukee guy just down the road a little bit, so you're kind of back at that. But talk to me a little bit about what he brings to the table and what your thoughts were when they brought this fight to you. Obviously, he's been on a pretty nice run himself. So.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, and he's strung some wins together in a division that's hard to string wins together. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's tough, and he got a submission his last fight, but he sees that final bell a lot by outworking guys. He gets a little bit ahead, and he's hard to catch. So, and he's never been finished, and I'm a finisher. So, I'm not going to chase that, but you better believe if I feel that that's there, I'm going to tear into it and set that up. And when I smell blood, I have that voice in the back of my head. It's like, okay, green light, dude, go, and I'll tear into it, but staying competitively ahead of him too. So, my head's where it needs to be, and I'm excited. And,
what do you put more importance on as you're looking at some of his past fights? Do you place more importance on the Manuel Sanchez who is going to like 4 straight split decisions, or do you look at the guy who did submit a guy or swept the scorecards in the last couple fights?
Yeah, I look at it, and this is something that I've learned by doing all this. It's just one fight at a time. You can pick up a little bit from watching his past fights. But one thing that's been really consistent is I see a hard worker, and so that's my focus. But I've really learned that right now it only matters just one fight. Even if you have contracted to more fights, none of that matters. All that matters is one fight, and for me, that's easy to focus on, and that's Manuel Sanchez. That's all that matters right now.
Does that mean you're not thinking things like, hey man, a win over a guy like Galbao and a win over a guy like Sanchez puts me in that title consideration right away?
Yeah, no, not till after. I build myself a resume first, then I'll start barking orders and requests or whatever. But first, this guy's got to get put away.
And then obviously that leads to my next question: is that how you feel like you get it done on Saturday night?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, he's never been put away, but I'm the guy to do that too. I'm not going to go in there and point spar him. I'm looking to put him away.